Hello, and welcome to You Will Be Ashes, a game of Spire, The City Must Fall from Ghostlight RPGs. I'm Ted Bushman. I'm the game master for this series and others. Joining me are Jamie Hansen, Kristen Perkins, Graham Ward, and Carson Wright. How do we feel tonight, everybody?
Great.
Feel good.
Pumped.
Nervous.
Yeah. Wow, that's so good. Great. Pumped, nervous. Good conclusion. Okay, so we had such an intro last week, and really the whole thing was an intro. We spent 3.5 hours on an enormous prologue in which none of the player characters ever interacted with each other. I had such a blast. It was so exciting. Everybody did this amazing improv work. It was just like moving and horrible, and I played so many awful people, and I'm gonna keep doing it. You're not gonna stop me. Well, I guess that's the whole point, is you're gonna be trying to stop me or the people that I represent. So that's what we're doing here. Before we get started, just to warm us up into it, what's one terrible thing that happened to a player that was not you last night? The last week, I keep saying last night. The last time that stuck with you. So like someone else's prologue, a moment from that struck you as being particularly egregious and evil. Let's start. Let's go in reverse alphabetical by last name, which is not really necessary. Carson.
Yeah, great, fantastic. Boy, there's so many things I could choose from, and I think I'm gonna zoom in on Chrysanth and just the tragedy of that war. Like, the thing that stood out to me was this, like, the scene of him walking into this, like, kind of dinnery situation and being like, I did a good soldiering, and they're like, you lost the bridge. It's like, my friends died. And they're like, doesn't seem like you did great. Like, that vibe in there was so, like, just heavy and depressing, and moved like straight into those next battles. The obvious, like, tragedy of...
It was like simultaneously Starship Troopers and also like Patroclus and Achilles. It was wild.
Yeah, it was really heavy, and it was just like, I don't know, pretty. Watching sort of like the like, oh, it was great. So I loved that about. Yeah,
there was a huge range from like violent oppression and evil and badness to like sort of this really like microaggression kind of stuff, and I feel like the moment of Meridian coming out with the severed head was just like, whoa, my gosh. Pretty brutal. Graham, get us a moment.
Hello, I'm Graham. My pronouns are he, him. I don't know if we're doing intros. So
we can do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Person, he, him, hi.
The moment that I cannot stop thinking about is the moment that I clipped for our promo tweet today, which was with the Bliss and being sort of like almost provoked into trying to claim her art, and then the person who gave her space to make that art was like, you don't own any of this. It was and the way, Ted, you played him as sort of like, oh, I'm so surprised that you feel this way. It's just so, yeah, it was very, I thought, insightful of something, that we often see with oppressors.
And that's all from Kristen. Like, I think just your idea of who the Bliss would be and who your Elfir connection would be in your Durance. I think that's where Altruin came from, and I think it's such an interesting villain.
I mean, it also comes from Ted, and Ted plays him.
Yeah. But it's your character and your idea is valuable. All right, Kristen, what's a moment that struck you?
Right. I mean, one thing, it's less a really specific moment, but seeing Mulro's arm, like seeing this like defiant little kid basically, or teenager, and like really getting a really clear picture of who he was when he started, and then seeing this transformation and seeing where he ends up was kind of heartbreaking. And I think the woman who approaches him from the ministry even says as much. She says something like, I've seen a lot of oppression, but seeing how you've been worn down and seeing how complicit Mulro is in the structure is particularly heartrending. And it kind of was. And I was so glad that we got to see that transition and that arc from like rebellious teenager to like utterly worn down servant. Oh, it was cool.
And it reminds me of the fun thing, which is that the first line of dialogue spoken by a character in our game of Spire was "Fuck you."
Yeah, that didn't
Sorry,
escape
everyone.
me either.
So
It was so
to kick it
pure
off.
too.
Yeah.
yeah.
Pure teenager.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That was so good. And Jamie.
Yes, Jamie, Hansen, he, him. I mean, for me, a lot of it was Graham with Arcolic killing, was her name Omelza?
Amelza, yeah.
Yeah, just the way how much Arcolic just tamped down like everything and is so dead is very upsetting. It was very upsetting through the whole thing. Except for when it got more upsetting when he's having to talk to his daughter and kind of come to terms with the way that other people, like her understanding of how the community views him and him kind of agreeing to go to church. That moment really struck me, even though it wasn't necessarily a moment of Elfir being shitty. It was the whole system just is really fucked you over.
Yeah. Oh, it's so great. Yeah, and that the murder of state sanctioned re-legislation of Amelza's life status was pretty rough. That was
It's a really fascinating part of the game. It's like baked into the setting.
Yeah.
Very, very clever way for Grant and Chris to have like figured out what's the role of the cop essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
really,
it's very cool. Also, Kristen, you didn't get to introduce yourself. You're
Kristen Perkins, she, her.
And Ted Bushman, he, him. We're all here. So I that was also a great chance for us to remind ourselves of the arcs of our characters. Chrysanth, the former soldier, and now Carrion priest who has a hyena named Malthus. We've got the Bliss, our artist, the idol who has sort of occult art powers, a little bit like Kristen in real life. Carson has Moreau, who's the masked, who is this sort of deeply subservient individual with this with the powers related to disguise and sort of subtle trickery, and then Arcolic, the mortician executioner, which is just about as edgelord as Graham would want to go, and with like such deep pathos as all of Graham's characters have. So excited to delve more into these people. So let's get a little bit of content warning. There will be oppression. There will be cruelty. There will be microaggressions. There will be violence, and the violence will be upsetting, probably. This is not a kind world. As we've mentioned last week, there will not be sexual violence. There will be no harm coming to children. People who are like, what's going to happen tomorrow? His daughter, nothing. Nothing's going to happen to her. Worst thing that's going to happen to her is she's going to have to go to a different babysitter because her dad is dead. We'll see.
Brutally murdered.
Minor inconvenience.
Yeah, minor inconvenience. She's going to be fine. But there will also be language, other stuff. I think that's the general vibe here. We're dealing with oppression. We're dealing with these themes. We're so excited to delve into it with you. So without further ado, welcome to You Will Be Ashes. Vertigo. That twist inside your innards when you stand overlooking a long fall. A wrong step in Spire and anyone could fall. They say that if you leapt from the skydocks, swan dived into the ether, you would die of shock before you reached the halfway mark. Of course, you'd probably impale yourself on a spike or split in half on a jutting line of rebar before you even got halfway. There are people who do that, and so there's often little, drips of things from higher up in the spire, and sometimes they're people's guts. You've learned to walk along the edge your whole life. You've learned to bend and push against the breeze, learned how to fight the terror. There are no smooth-soled shoes among the Drow. Your toes have learned to grip like fingers. But whenever you stand there, at a railing or an open cliff face, at the height of some enormous industrial chimney in the works or at the top of a sewer waterfall, whenever you stand at the edge, there's always part of you that wants to jump. What would it feel like to throw yourself recklessly from the top? The wind buffeting your coat like a sail, the pressure ripping the moisture out of your eyes, the complete lack of control, no matter what you do. What would it feel like to see everything from that high up? To understand everything exactly as it is? To see what no one else can see, even if it meant you would die in the process? Some of these days, you hear the Vertigo calling you, telling you to jump. Welcome to Spire. Moreau, let's start with you again.
Okay.
It is the middle of the night. You are standing on a rusting iron fire escape, descending down the outside of the spire. As you descend, you occasionally read a note that's in your hand, which is giving you directions. You notice that as you're reading this, you notice that one of the fixtures connecting the stair to the spire has rusted off and is just sort of floating. Most of it is still connected, but there's just this is not in good repair. How does Moreau feel about heights as he descends down this long stair? What is his manner?
I think there is some caution and care, though not necessarily not a favorite place to be, but also not afraid to be up there. There are very many useful places that you can be and get to, though it's not necessarily him the one that's doing it. But in this case, when he was younger especially, there was plenty of climbing around in dangerous and rusted out high places, I think. So there's some comfort, but now in his kind of
a little bit of nostalgia.
Yeah, a little bit of that, and he moves pretty well through it all. Still, just
totally. You're heading down, and you hear a voice say, "Careful." You look up into the swirling deep blue night. You look up at the face of the moon. There are two gods in the moon, as all the Drow know. One of light and one of darkness. The glorious lady and the hidden mistress. Moreau, the hooded woman is waiting for you. She's now above you. You've been descending, but she's apparently following you. She steps into the way of the moon, so there's a halo that spreads around her. Not a poor bit of symbolism about this woman who is your handler, the member of the ministry of our hidden mistress, who has joined with you in rebellion against the Elfir. You have for some time called her Cyphia. In the years since you've met her, she has lost an eye. She now wears a bandage over part of her face and has some pretty brutal scars, which I don't know if you've ever asked her about. We can see. She says, "How are you, my friend?" Comes down and grabs your hand.
I've been better, perhaps, but I definitely have been worse.
I am grateful to you for coming this late at night. I know this is not our norm, all right? The two of you head down this long winding stair. There's some colored gas lamps as you're getting a little bit lower. But she says, "Look, time is of the essence, I'm afraid. More than usual. And it's complex enough that I'm bringing a few other operatives who'll be joining you. You're all equals, but I trust you can keep things discreet. We're headed to meet them now. The first is a choice you may find somewhat controversial. One of our agents has, about a year ago, turned a mortician executioner, one of the most loathsome servants of the Elfir. This one in particular has murdered a half-dozen ministry agents, though I don't know if he knows that himself. He's just taken his vows, and he is devoted and he's dangerous. What do you think? Can you stomach working with someone like that?
I suppose so. Could be of some great use. Skilled, obviously, I'm sure.
Certainly so, yes. The other two, they've yet to take their vows. Now, normally we wouldn't send anyone with this lack of experience out, but look, she sort of grabs your hand. You get to this portcullis in the side of the spire, sort of in this like weird organically shapen hole. It looks like a meteorite maybe hit the spire at some point and made this hole, and someone has put a gate on it since. She says, I'll be honest with you. My friends higher up, they don't want to risk it. And if that means that you don't want to do this, I understand. But that's why I'm bringing the couple in who aren't so experienced.
I'm sorry, risk it the job?
Yes.
Or risk it work with these two?
No, these two, I think we can trust them. More the job itself. It's urgent. Anyway, I'll talk to you about it in a moment when we're all together. But one of them is an artist. She runs with a salon of up-and-comer Drow. She has a growing following. We need quiet folks like you, of course, but she's useful in different ways. Oh, I know. Artists, they're not exactly your type, bit flamboyant, but look, she knows how to get herself ingratiated with folks, knows how to make an entrance, and someone like that could create the kind of distractions we need and turn folk to our side.
Are you certain that they can be trusted? I mean, without having taken the vows, we have no guarantees, or at least the closest thing we have that they might... I mean, an artist, really. I mean, fickle as they are.
Yes, I understand you. I agree with you. I've known this one for a little while. She and I have developed a bit of a friendship, if friendship is what you can call when someone leaves 3 envelopes in your mailbox every week and has left a sculpture in front of your front door.
Oh, God.
So yes, she is trying to work with us. She's been wanting it for a while. She's eager. She's willing. So okay. I say we give her a try. Yes.
All right. And the last one, I assume, is a bartender or something equally as mundane, or...
Yes, indeed. He's a charnel priest. He has a hyena.
Oh.
Yes. He's a bit strange. He fought in the wars in Nujab, knows how to hunt. Yeah, and there's the goddamn hyena. So he'll be interesting. He's some more muscle in case things get dangerous, and also because what we're doing tonight is a manhunt. All right, let's get inside then. She pulls out a silver lock, opens this a beautiful lock, and she says, "This garden, the authorities don't know much about it. Just a couple drow who run it, and they happen to be friends of mine." And you step inside a luminous mushroom garden. This place is about 4 stories high. It's built into this big scar in the side of the tower, and you're led up into like the reddish glow of these mushrooms is sort of lighting you from below. Each of you has been given an invitation. It is about 2 a.m. Each of you has been given an invitation, been asked to reach this place, and have arrived at different times. So none of you have seen each other. So first, Arcolic, you are sitting, waiting. I'm not sure in what manner, if you're patiently waiting, reading a book, or what you're doing. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, he doesn't sit still, I don't think. So okay. Arcolic is probably pacing around, just like doing this, like reading the room from a sense perspective, like swiping his finger across surfaces, looking under flaps or whatever. There's
a bunch of mushrooms. There's some benches and like a little bit of some old statues of drow things. Some of them probably illegal at this place, representations of the hidden mistress and other gods. So there's probably this moment where you're like looking at a statuette of the hidden mistress, sort of her head hooded, with a little bit of a grin wickedly on her face. You when you turn and you're pacing, there is suddenly a hooded woman with a smirk on her face, standing in front of you. Not the mistress herself, but Saifia. Saifia sort of gives a little bow to you and says, "Thank you for being prompt. Our mutual friend, Brother Bell, says you're extremely reliable, and I'm sure you realize what a valuable asset you are to us."
Well, I appreciate that.
And, well, come with me. We'll get everyone gathered together. And she leads you up to a larger room. Then Chrysanth, you are greeted. You're sitting there. What's your moment of preparation, or sitting here? You've been waiting here for 20 minutes or so?
I think he's got a hunk of like femur with a bit of meat still around the
some
socket.
gristle. Yeah.
Yeah, and has sort of just been tossing it to get Mothus to fetch.
Great. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, keep him entertained.
Yeah, so it's going back and forth, and there's a moment where you toss it, and the hyena stops Malthus and looks up at the hooded woman who reaches down, crouches down, doesn't reach out her hand, but says, "Is he a good boy then?"
He's a good boy, but careful with fingers. He likes those.
That sounds good. I'll keep mine to myself then. She stands up, gestures, and brings you up. And Bliss, when Syphia's other greetings have been pretty friendly. When you see her, she is standing with folded arms, looking at you with a sort of motherly look of frustration. And she says, "My dear, you have not given me no for an answer."
Oh, well, I'm not used to being refused. I take it you liked my sculpture then.
I do particularly love the idea of being outed by a piece of graffiti from all of my stealth and hidden identity. Yes, it's great.
Well, it was meant as a gift.
Well, I want you to know that what you're getting into is a bit dangerous. Are you up for that?
As if art isn't the essence of danger, the meaning of danger, the je ne sais quoi that is somehow equal to danger.
Have you ever been stabbed by a piece of art?
I can't say I have, but I have accidentally cut myself with a chisel.
All right. Well, come on with me. And she brings you up. You all are now gathered in a sort of open place. There's a little burbling fountain with some like luminescent. It's like the plankton bloom, but it's sort of reddish inside this water. You think might be linked to these mushrooms. So as all of you are now together in the space for the first time, I'm curious if there are any particular moments of what do you all do as you see each other? Who do you size up? What are the your perceptions?
You'll notice that Mulrow is masked in here, in a not the mask that he would wear as the servant of the house but a unique mask actually painted with like designs and some calls to the to our mistress. So like there's like some of that going on, and I think it's a sort of a mask that actually has a mouth opening like to it, so it kind of is cut this way around here, and actually goes back a bit ways, so it's not just like sitting necessarily on the front, but it continues with like some textured sculpted parts of hair and bits as it goes further back on the face, not revealing himself to everyone immediately.
Cool. Yeah, what else?
I think our Kullik is not in uniform.
Yeah.
So feel like noticeably, for comparing to last session, noticeably freer and more at ease. Just sort of pacing, and then I'll see Mulrow come in, and I think that we're aware of each other, right? We've both been working with the ministry a little while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think your name's probably come up in circles before as well, I'm guessing, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
so yeah, I'll kind of slowly work my way over across the mushrooms to you, Mulrow. I presume.
You presume correctly. I'm sorry I cannot reveal my face in this current company. I'm afraid I don't necessarily trust our other compatriots yet, not having taken the vow.
Have they given you cause?
Not yet. Either way. But I haven't made it as far as I have by being by being risky.
I see. Well, I know your reputation. I'm glad to be working with you. Hope that we can bring this to a successful conclusion.
I hope so as well. I must admit, it's not often that I am working with or necessarily in the direct presence of one in your line of work.
It tends to strike a pall on a room.
On the contrary, I find it rather exciting.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how things shape up.
I assume Chrysanth comes in at this moment, and Bliss, maybe?
Yeah.
Or what do you think?
Does our colleague have his axe with him, even if he's not in uniform?
That's a great question. Yeah, probably.
Kind of just, I'd say Chrysanth sidles up, eyeing the axe, and kind of just comparing maybe some size between the cleaver and the axe.
What do you think is the? I'm curious. How huge is the Mortician Executioner axe? How huge is this cleaver?
Yeah, I don't think the axe is that broad necessarily.
Sure.
Yeah, kind of simple.
No.
I think the cleaver is bigger than like what a standard butcher's cleaver would be, but not like hand and a half sword style. Like just something that he can still thwack with one single move. So just kind of. All right. Evening all.
I think
And,
as
go ahead.
the Bliss enters maybe last, she sees Chrysanth, who I think she knows, and she'll sort of cross the room magnanimously. I think perhaps she's also masked, of course. She's perhaps her mask is like a fishbowl kind of thing, like it's this weird construction that looks sort of like an astronaut thing with maybe like water. Somehow her voice comes out normal, and like sort of sexy astronaut costume is the vibe that I would love to go with.
Yes,
and she'll cross to Chrysanth. My friend, oh, I know we're meant to be so secretive here, and it's, awfully troublesome because I do believe I know you. I do believe you come to some of my art shows. Oh, embrace me. Chrysanth, isn't it?
Yeah, what are you wearing?
Do you like it? It's my latest costume. An art piece. Performance art piece, as I wear it about.
It's not made of like earwax or something this time, right?
If you embrace me, you could find out if it's sticky.
Oh God.
We'll see. Is this like a covert thing? Are we trying to be inconspicuous?
I mean, that's for my mysterious lady to discuss with us, but I don't believe my skill set tends towards the inconspicuous.
And you don't find that all this gets in the way?
Gets in the way of what? Certainly doesn't get in the way of getting attention, which is, I assume you know what I am after.
Well, good. I'm glad that we've got you with us. No, it won't be me.
It's a very nice round head. And Chrysanth will give a very ginger tap on the shoulder.
She'll like wrap her arms around him, give him a squeeze, pull back.
Malthus, say hi.
Sniffs your hand.
I think she pets him, sort of like a little fearlessly. Maybe it's not the wisest move. If he snaps, she'll pull back with a giggle.
Yeah, what do you think he does?
I think he likes the list. I think it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
The puppy dog comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's you happen to know the really good spot behind his right ear that he just loves. So he's in for it. Scythea comes in. She's here with all of you. Says, all right, everyone. 3 hours ago, I got hold of a private all-points bulletin from Amaranth through Middle City and down to the works. City guard and neighborhood watches are being told, on the hush, to be looking for a tall drow man in his 30s, hair done up in locks, who is evading custody. Now look, this wouldn't seem like much, just sounds like someone running away from their durance, though a little bit old for durance, but they've been told that if they aren't affected, then the Ngati will be cleaning up the mess. If they're willing to send the Elfir secret police, then this is something we want to know about. We believe that this man might know something of interest to the ministry. You must have him taken. You must take him alive if you can, and get him somewhere where you can question him.
And do we know anything other than Drow in his 30s? Where was he last seen? What?
So we know his age. We know his hairstyle. He has a vine tattoo dripping with strange diamond fruit around his left arm. We know also that there's an apothecary in 10 Divots, if you know that neighborhood. He murdered that apothecary's assistant. So you could talk to the apothecary. You could speak. There are plenty of tattoo artists in the middle city, but we think it might be from there. You could try and see if you could ask about them. See if you can get any local gossip. Here's the thing. We've got hours before this man gets found. We've got maybe a jump. Maybe these city watchfolk won't get on this until the morning. But we need to move quickly. And if we do, we might be able to find him. So local gossip, see who's passing through. This seems like a person who might be dangerous. The All Points Bulletin pointed out that they admit that this person could be in possession of harmful arcane technology.
Well, I'm down for a chase. I assume everyone else is too. Friends?
Of course. I'm sure there are avenues we can investigate quickly in order to get some leads.
I might be able to tap into my network, perhaps pick up some scent, perhaps.
Don't you two sound excited?
If you want scent, if you get me and Malthus within nose range of him, we can find him.
Good. So there's all sorts of possibilities of where you could go. You could even try, if you think you could talk to any police and get information from them, the city guard, Drow folk, could potentially be helpful. So jumping a little bit meta. This is not a score like in Blades. This doesn't have to all be in the moment. This is a score that's going to take place over the next 6 to 12 hours. You can split up. You don't need to worry about the sort of standard fear of splitting the party. We can jump into different scenes, go in different directions. I'll be sort of ticking time through as we go. One thing to be aware of in Spire, as opposed to in other games we've played, is that your appearances are potentially distinctive, and so you want to think about how you want to be perceived in advance by the authorities who may be watching you and other individuals, even Drow who you interact with. And if you do split, you can assume that certain reasonable plans that you could have communicated in advance, like, oh, we'll meet here at 6 a.m. or something, but there are also arcane means of communication you could obtain. I really just want you to generally feel like you can blow this open as far as, is there X kind of thing that we could find? Like we've got a world here that's full. Obviously, we don't know that world super well, as this is our first thing, but I think we can jump in. And so, yeah, if you want to, buy something, the way that buying works is you're rolling silver. Silver would be the place to take stress in case bad things happen. So that is your information from Cyphia.
And we have no name. Is that right?
We have no name as of yet. This is a man who's gone missing. We're not sure. No.
It's damn troublesome work finding someone with no name.
Indeed.
Some identifying features, though, and sounds like somebody who probably mixes with some loose lips. There must be someone out there willing to rat him out.
I think I'll begin with the apothecary's assistant who was murdered. Would anyone like to come?
I would love to come.
You see our colleague like visibly sighs. And what did you have in mind for your contribution? Can I ask?
Well, if the apothecary is at all resistant to talking to someone, no offense, but quite so dour, I think I can assist loosening their lips, as our friend says. Our friend, our masked friend, your name?
Oh, sorry, Moreau.
Ah. Well, for now, I believe M will be fine. And, forgive me, madam, I did not get yours.
My name, and she says this with a flourish, of course, is the Bliss.
Is that an old family name?
It's a name I chose for myself because it is, I think, how many people feel when they see my art or encounter me. You'll come around.
I'm sure I will. Now, was it a murder to the murdered apothecary's assistant, our colleague, taking the Bliss?
Yep. So you'll be heading to a neighborhood called 10 Divots, which is in most of what we're going to be doing today is in Middle City. This is sort of the rumored place where he was last seen headed towards, was down through the elevators towards there.
Yeah, what I had in mind was like talk to the cops in my role as mortician executioner to see if they've got, more information surrounding the crime and how it might relate. I think that's great, though. I mean, our colleague might be a little bit less verbose about this, but I think it's great if you like go talk to the witnesses. Maybe you can gather something. Yeah. Maybe that I'll say I'm sure that there's some information that you could gather that the officers weren't able to come up with.
Well, officers rarely know what's actually going on. I find.
Well, I'll see just how little they know. It's a job for someone dour.
So another, just like talking through some of the leads that are possible for Chrysanth and Moreau. You've got there's a few prominent tattoo artists in Middle City. In fact, the symbol that that is mentioned, a symbol of a vine wrapping around the arm and dripping with certain diamond fruit, the Bliss and Chrysanth, you would recognize this as a common symbol to a district called the Vertiginous Vineyards, which hang off of the inner parts of Middle City. And there is a tattoo artist there who you could go speak to and ask and see if this is someone they might know. So that's an option. There's also, you could go to major markets in the area or major thoroughfares where this person might have passed through and made a showing. Any other things that you all think of that could be possible?
I'd head to the Vertiginous Vineyards.
Right.
Suppose I should accompany.
Yes, Mr. M.
Do you know much about wine?
I know it goes down easy at the end of a long day.
Are these vineyards producing wine?
Yeah, they are. They do actively produce wine. Yeah, great. Yeah, they're not like, there are some really high class, rarely would Elfir drink Vertiginous Vineyards wine, but there are a few specific makers who are respected enough that they'll occasionally get to Elfir tables. So you would be able to, you would know those.
Fantastic. Well, we'll see. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Well, then perhaps you'll need of my expertise.
Right.
Why not?
Are you at all interested in obtaining arcane means of communication to sort of walkie-talkie each other?
Well, Ted, what are you selling?
I'm selling.
Have you ever wanted to communicate with your friends?
You want something you could get? Yeah, well, if you want to try it, you could roll. You could make a roll for it. We could say that you've gone to a midnight market somewhere in somewhere north of Perch, and see what you can find.
Buy something from Peter Falk.
Perhaps I'll do that. Chrysanth, perhaps I'll meet you at the vineyard. I could maybe gather up some things, considered we're a larger team than personally I'm used to working with. It might be helpful to be communicating. Let's say we meet there in an hour or two.
Sure thing. Don't take too long, though, because if I get frustrated with the questioning, I'll introduce him to Malthus over here.
Oh God, please don't. And I'll go and just do this. We don't have to role play it necessarily, but I figure
Sure.
I have the money.
Yeah, you totally should. So go ahead and so you would roll. Do you have a skill that you feel like would suit it?
Yeah, I think fantastic. I think I would walk up and I would want to be compelling.
Yeah. Sure.
Perhaps a vendor here to cut me a better deal on this situation. Sure. So I'll probably be an alternate character. There is a different mask on, probably one of my high society masks, you know, and so I'm compelling this person. Well, frankly, I think that my lady would smile upon someone who would show the kindness of perhaps a small discount. These things would do wonders for your reputation with the lords and the ladies. I would happily spread that amongst you, of course. I'm hoping to apply my mastery here to persuade servant Drow. I don't know if this counts. If it might not be because he's he's probably not.
I think he's just a regular merchant. But
fine.
still your rhetoric is. But he goes, oh, the Elfir lords and ladies. I certainly don't get that kind of
steady streams of business for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Go ahead and roll it.
Okay. Fantastic. How many do I roll?
You're gonna roll 1 basic plus 1 for compel, and do you have a domain that you feel would apply?
Yeah, that's it. Okay, great, fantastic. High society maybe, but we can go with this.
I think just do the 2 because I think he's not high society.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he knows.
I'm sorry. Is it low? That's good, or
high is good. You should ask before you rolled. How'd you do? Oh no! Oh no!
Show it.
I can't see.
Well, shut up. It's a 1 and a 1.
Okay,
oh no!
Amazing. So
it's not just me.
So this is a low. Like the consequences of this are not a lot of stress. This is a D. Actually, because it's a 1, it doubles the amount of stress you take. So it's a D3. So I roll 3. You're going to take 2 times 2. You're going to take 4 silver stress, which for you doesn't mean much of anything. So this dude absolutely fleeces you, just terribly. And what you end up with is, you're trying to get like some arcane thing that you could speak to. What he gives you is a little weird like plant, this like little fruit, and basically if you dip it in water for like more than a few seconds, it will start to glow and you can talk into it, and someone else who has the other ones, like there's 4 of these fruit, they're paired together. So you have to be close by a source of water so that you can talk into them and they'll like wither away after a little bit. So that's your walkie-talkies.
Oh boy.
You've got it. I'm gonna roll, and you are totally fine for Fallout, obviously, because you've got amazing silver stress capacities. So, but you just ended up like, and maybe I think maybe even more than this guy fleecing you, because I think you're too smart for that exactly. I think you get pickpocketed in this spot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was thinking it's either that or I spend way more than necessary on something, but I think that's good.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Overpaid and robbed.
Yeah, it's like, well, screw you. So yeah, all right. Now everybody has a weird fruit communicator, and is heading on their way to their different locations. So I'm going to take forward some time. It is now sort of 3:34 in the morning, depending on where we are. I think let's get to 10 Divots first. This is a neighborhood that's sort of like these weird 10 depressions in the side of the Spire above Middle City, and a couple of those have been like built into little neighborhoods. And there is an apothecary located in the area. Do you head to the so we're now getting around dawn? It's sort of like middle of the night stuff going on. Where are we headed? Where are we up to?
I mean, I think I'm headed towards the apothecary, although I assume they don't open until morning. Or
as you approach, you see that there are lights on, and that there are people outside. It looks like the kind of thing where the apothecary's like brother-in-law and some family members are helping repair a shattered window and a broken door. So there are people outside like lit with candles. Some people are like there's a little teenage cousin who's like sitting on the sidewalk, who's just like falling asleep in his hand, because they've been trying to like make this. So the last few hours they've been sort of dealing with this emergency situation. So there's like people actively at work here.
Well, my friend, speaking to our colic, who, by the way, she's probably asked for his name. Does he give it to her on their way over here?
Of course. Names are very important. Arcolic is my name.
Arcolic, a beautiful name. Would you like to make a kind of official, police inquiry, or should I approach with a little more charm?
No, I think if you approach, you'll probably have a better chance of charming them. I'll watch from here, and then once we get a little information, I'll go make some kind of request at the office of the officers. I
find you very charming, and she'll give him his shoulder a pat, and she'll approach this family working on their broken apothecary store.
Yeah, there's a man with sort of some graying hair, normally black hair, but with some graying on the sides. A little larger, appears to be the apothecary himself. Looks at you and says, "We're closed, if you don't mind."
I mean, I can see that. I was hoping to buy some goods, but I'm so
before
sorry.
dawn?
Oh. Well, of course not. I was passing through. I was going to visit earlier in the morning. I was late somewhere else with someone else, and I'm going home, and I just thought, I'll just make sure.
Need a tincture or something, then I see.
Oh, yes. But I see that something has happened here. I hope nothing serious. Renovation or thieves?
He looks around, and some of the family members look a little bit concerned with him as well, and he says, "Who are you with?"
I assure you I'm not with anyone. Just a woman in need of a tincture.
Go ahead and roll and see if you can convince this person that you're not hostile.
Yes, I will, because they don't know my name. I can roll with mastery to compel them.
Yeah, cool.
Or to deceive them,
sure.
Which I guess this might actually be more deception because I am lying. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And then, so I think I get one dice normally, one dice for compel, and one dice for rolling with mastery.
Yeah, one, another for compel, another for mastery. So you get a base.
So 3 total.
Yeah, 3 total. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a 3, a 6, and a 7.
Okay, yeah, that's great. 7 is your partial success. So I'm going to give you a little bit of stress here. We're gonna give you shadow stress. So you're going to take 2 stress to shadow. So basically, what you feel is his gaze focus on you, and you hear a couple of these family members talking, and a mother grabs the teenage boy and goes, "Something ministry." You get the sense that there might be some suspicion of exactly how what you're doing here, and you feel the sort of like hot burning on the back of your neck of the sort of weird shame that you might at other at a sort of a social function where you suddenly feel a little exposed. But nothing else happens beyond that feeling. Our friend, the apothecary, says, "Yeah, my assistant was just murdered a few hours ago, middle of the night."
Murdered?
Yeah.
Oh, my good sir, I'm so sorry. Do you know who did this?
Oh, I know who it is. I talked to him face to face. He walked right into my shop, tried to buy something from me when I didn't have it and I have no idea how I would have even obtained such a thing. He attacked me, and then he killed my assistant. Here, you want to see? He walks you over and sort of pulls open this broken window. You see there is a drow-shaped mass of body smashed into the far wall. The creature is the corpse is crushed. There's blood leaking out of it. This thing was, this person was thrown up against the wall with such force that they cracked the whole wall. The windows shattered. The door was thrown off of its hinges, and the person was killed.
Was this madman apprehended? I hope.
Oh no, he's gone. He fled. The city guard didn't come for another hour after. They still haven't peeled the body down out of here.
What on earth was he looking for?
He wanted some sort of alleviation, some cure for a kind of arcane wound that I've never seen. The flower that he was referring to, the things that the kind of wound that he wanted to heal.
My poor man, I am so sorry. I'm an artist, and I really genuinely hope that this is not presumptuous. But I have something here, and I think she'll rummage in sort of the bags, or maybe the big pockets in her sexy astronaut suit. And I think she pulls out, I want it to be something actually sort of sweet. I think she pulls out maybe an embroidered piece of cloth that's actually kind of beautiful and intricate, and that she's hand embroidered, and she hands it to him. I know moments of loss are difficult. I don't know what your relationship was to your assistant, and I can see you're moved. My good sir, I hope you'll accept this. It's a gift. It's meant to be.
Oh, you don't owe me anything. I'm sorry to have been curt with you. It's a night of fear for all of us. I knew that boy for a few years. You weren't no family of mine, but he takes the cloth. He says, I could, lay it across a casing, put some tinctures and ingredients atop it. It could be nice. Thank you.
You can also use it to wipe your eyes, if you'd like.
He does so. He says, this man that killed my assistant, he was hurt and there was something wrong with him. I couldn't tell what it was. But I hope that they catch him, figure out what was wrong with him. I don't know how he had that power yet.
Is it safe for you to be here? Your family, too. Out in the street.
I don't think he's coming back. He said he was headed to Iron Slouch.
Iron Slouch. Well, if there's a madman loose, I might be getting back to my apartment. I'll find somewhere else for the tincture I require, but I do wish you the best.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Of course. And she'll knock on her already thing as a kind of weird salute, and then Great. She'll walk back and maybe not look like she's speaking directly to our colic, but she'll walk past him and hope that he follows, and then when they get someplace secluded, relay the relevant information.
Yeah, maybe, if someone was watching intently, they'd see this pale gray shadow kind of slip out of the alley and follow her.
Yeah, the information gets passed on. Does our colic from here move to speak to the
Yeah.
police. Yeah.
And I'll be like, very, very professional, very business, like quick to the business with you, Bliss, and I'll make a stop over at it's the equivalent of the precinct. The
commissariat, maybe.
Yeah, very nice word. I'll stop at the commissariat and see if there was a report filed.
Yeah, it's the commissariat is busy. There are city guard moving all around. People are like working on papers. They're sort of shuffling through things. There's some like sort of some secretaries talking into arcane stuff, communicating with like a sort of a high-pitched noise of another secretary at another commissariat. And the city guard captain comes up to you and says, "Pardon me, sir. Is there anything that we can do for you? What exactly is it that you need? We're a bit busy at the moment."
I'm Arcala Last Word Whispered, Mortician Executioner. And I'm going to pull out one of my lead scrolls, and I'm not going to open it, but I'm just going to sort of wave it and say, I have a requisition that it requires me to pull a report of the damage at an apothecary's, and I'll give the address.
Yeah. You this is going to succeed, but let's roll your. But no, we don't need to roll it. We don't need to roll it because it's going to succeed. I just don't think there's any chance of failure here. So cool. You've made use of your reputation. Sorry, let's roll it. I think let's roll just to see, because this is a nice fake situation for these cops.
Okay. So let me do investigate.
Yep, you
investigate. And then I don't have crime domain. I really ought to.
But I'm going to give you mastery on it because of the narrative. All
right.
Like it just seems so likely that you've got it. Yeah.
That's a 9.
Yeah. Okay, great. That's what I thought. Perfect success. So everybody freezes. You see a bunch of Drow sort of look up. Like the secretary sort of freezes and looks up at you. It's just this. You're not wearing your uniform. You're just in black. You're sort of.
Yeah. I mean, I still wear pale grays. It's all. He's just monochromatic everywhere he goes.
Yeah, totally.
Silver's probably the best.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. The another one of the police, the police who came up to you says, let me get you with the lieutenant. The lieutenant sort of comes out, sort of gets pushed out by other people, and goes, "Our colleague last word whispered. We're glad you're here. We are actively working on the situation. We hope that there's you haven't received any reports of wrongdoing on our part. We've been actively at work with this for hours."
I understand that your efforts are being observed quite closely, but so far you haven't struck a wrong chord.
Good. Glad to hear it. He pulls you back and he says, "Is there any more information that you've heard from our higher ups about what he's been up to?"
I need to look at the documentation first.
Everything
that was given, statements, so forth.
Yes, of course. So there's a bunch of papers being laid out on these iron tables. You get some, the information that you learned, an image, a sketch that's been given, the tattoo. They said you then get a last name, Dracker, Draccor.
Music to my eardrums.
There's a sense that they confirmed the idea that there is a Dracker family residence in Iron Slouch. Iron Slouch is a piece of Draccor. It's hidden in this like old metal chute, and so the whole neighborhood is like cramped, and there's like very few outlets of air, and so it's sort of weird, very sort of slummy neighborhood that's pretty hidden, cramped, deep inside middle city. You get that information. You get the information that the assistant was killed. The lieutenant says, we know that he's got some arcana on him of some kind. We're not exactly sure what it was and how it was used exactly, but I don't know if you've seen the site yet, but it's rather grisly.
Just for fun, I'll feed him a little false information.
Okay. Yeah. Any sense of what that might be?
Something, not necessarily. I mean, maybe I'll just like some sort of like fake lead that will cause them to not follow down the trail that will eventually
Yeah.
track this guy to the ministry,
Yeah.
but sort of like isolate what we're trying to do to get him and question him from the work that the
Absolutely.
commissary
So that
is doing.
seems, yeah. So maybe they say we think it's Iron Slouch, and you're like, oh no, I heard of a Drecker family in this area. Yeah,
That's
cool,
perfect.
cool.
Yeah, Drecker's a name, very familiar name to us in our line of work. They're in another neighborhood.
Yeah, good. I think we should roll if you have a deceive on it, or it can be compel or whatever. But let's roll something else.
Let's see if it works for me.
Yeah.
That's a 7.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a success with some stress. Let me roll. That's gonna be what's the appropriate stress for this? I think it's probably just still shadow, like shadow being sort of your stealthiness and whether people are aware of you. So I think it's that it's a very small amount of stress. You make an impression. They are like, oh, archaic last word whispered. You know, like it's sort of this like they go, oh, so good that we got this lead from you. You know, the lieutenants just can't stop thanking you. And so it's the kind of thing where like you think your name is going to be said to somebody else higher up. Perhaps we're not getting any fallout from this, but you know, if you were to do more things that brought this information up, something could happen. Yeah.
Thank you for your cooperation. There's one last thing that I would like to square away, which is I'm actually going to use one of my abilities here called Tell Me What I Need to Know. And I'm going to just lean in very close. And what this allows me to do is state some information that I would like to know. And the GM lets me know which nearby NPC, if any, knows it.
Okay.
And what I'd like to know is just what kind of arcane implement Dracker was using.
Yeah. The lieutenant himself says, I'll admit that I happened to be on the beat when this occurred, and I saw the individual fleeing. He did not carry any implement, but I saw he was trying to cover up his arms with wrappings. His arms were covered with glowing runes. He has used this magic on his own body. They appeared carved into the flesh.
Well, I'm sure that's not the most central of leads, but I'll look into it. I appreciate all of your cooperation.
Of course, thank you, sir. Thank you for your time and for your service.
And I'll just do like one more scan across the room as though I'm trying to decide if I'm okay with all these people, if they still deserve to live. And then I'll just nod, sniff, and kind of head out.
Yeah, and you can feel like all of their gaze is still on you until the door closes and you're gone. Let's, before we make a decision about what Arcolic and the Bliss are up to next, let's jump to Chrysanth and Moreau, who have headed down together to the Vertiginous Vineyards. It takes a little bit longer to get down there, so we're around sunrise. And people are at work. You actually come to a space where you sort of climb down some ladders into this area where there's some little houses hanging onto the side of the spire, and down below you see people on rigging climbing and tending to vines and all the stuff of this vineyard. And it turns out that this tattoo artist happens to serve sort of live a double life as both a vine keeper and as an artist. And they are sort of woken early by one of you and say, "Oh, hello. What is it that you call on me for?"
Hello. Have you
just like a gesture of like, you take the lead. Let me see.
Good morning.
Good morning. I was just in my meditation. What is it I can do for you?
Look, I understand you give people tattoos.
I do, yes. It's more of a pastime. I don't do it as often these days, but I've done it for many in the community. It's
Many in the. Is it a regular thing? People getting tattoos in this community?
I think folk in general appreciate the art of tattoos. I think they have their popularity. It's not we're not uniquely that way. What is there? He looks down at the hyena. He goes, "Are you seeking a tattoo?"
Oh no, my body is a temple.
I see.
I'm looking for some. Well, I'm afraid to say someone that you've tattooed in the past has done something pretty bad. And
I see.
Look, we heard about this guy. He's got a vertiginous vineyard tattoo. Now, we've come looking for him, but other people are looking for him too. Potentially even secret police.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Do you know what order it is I serve?
I know something of Charnel, yes.
Okay. Well, look, it's pretty bad if this guy with a tattoo that can be traced to you gets taken in and interrogated. Bad for your reputation. Now, if I were able to find him, I could guarantee that no scrap of him ever ends up in the hands of the authorities.
Looks down at the hyena. Scrap? You're going. You should roll on this. I think compel.
Yeah.
You have compel, yes. Yeah.
No, I do not have compel.
Oh, really? Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah. I don't think. Yeah. I think
you're
I
all
just
good.
have. Yeah. I was hoping that my reference to my career might give me a religion domain, but
Sure. Take it and take
All right.
a mastery for your use of rhetoric.
For use of rhetoric.
All right. Well, then that gets me a 9 for that.
Okay, great. Yeah, full success. Okay, great. The vineyard tattooist says, "Oh, just come inside. Come inside," and like closes the door behind you. You see this sort of like very sort of beautiful little sitting room, a lot of like sitting pillows and stuff. So you sit down on some pillows. Malthus is walking around sniffing things. And the figure like runs and grabs there's an open carafe of wine on the floor. They were like having a little bit with their meditation. And it's like, "Oh, I'll take that out of the way. I think you were seeking a friend, someone that I knew from the community. I think you're looking for Rosin Dracker."
Rosin Dracker.
Yes, Rosin. First name Rosin.
Does it surprise you? Sorry, this is like the first thing Moro says.
Yeah, and they look at you as if you just appeared. Yeah.
Yeah. And does it surprise you that he would be fleeing from the authorities? Or is this regular with his character?
It's an utter surprise, I must admit. Dracker has... In fact, there are 6 tattoos that you could have told me about that I would have been able to identify as his. He has come to me many times, usually quite inebriated and quite upset. You see, Rosin is a very emotional person. He's very sensitive, and the vineyard one was the largest. That was a few years ago now, but he's a tortured fellow, somewhat sad. But never someone who I felt would commit violence on anyone.
What's he sad about? Does he not like wine?
Yeah, he does like the wine. But it often reminds him He lost his mother some years ago and has simply had a life of struggle, illness in his family. He had a durance that was quite brutal and damaged his leg. He's not able to walk very quickly. And so simply a life combining a great many inconveniences and tragedies made him quite sad.
And you say you know him purely as a customer, or you mentioned he was a friend of some type, a close friend, family, long time?
When someone comes to get 6 tattoos over the course of a few years, you ask them about their life, you get to know them a little more than the norm.
Really?
So that's,
could you perhaps, just like stomping over the... Great, got the thank you. Very nice.
Yeah.
Could you perhaps... we are concerned for him and for you. And I don't wish to alarm you, but as my friend pointed out here, the interest of the secret police does not bode well for anyone associated with this individual. And I apologize to be the one to bear that news, but any information you might be able to provide us with his location would surely benefit you and, more importantly, him. Is there any place that he's ever spoken to you about? Places he might go where he, in distress, or perhaps one of these sad moods you described?
Yes. He, when upset, he would come to me sometimes, but more often, and especially more recently, it's been many years since he would come to me for tattoos. I know that he's a religious person, a person of faith, and the House of the Midwife in Iron Slouch was a common place of sanctuary for him. I think if he were truly in a crisis, he would go there.
Well, we will continue to look for him, though should you hear anything, we would be much appreciative.
Yes. Certainly, I will keep an ear to the ground.
And it's also extremely important that you keep our visit to yourself, as I'm sure you can already guess why. I'm gonna let his imagination work on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you wanna roll on that?
Sure, I'll deceive him. Yeah, and I'll even pet the hyena if I need to, just to add more confusion into this.
Great, yeah, do it. Yeah, add a mastery for that weirdness.
Yeah,
I'm being real nice with the mastery. We'll see when I start not wanting that. But for now, mastery for you, mastery for everybody.
6.
Okay, great. Yeah, that is partial success. So I'm gonna roll some stress on that. Yeah, that's just fine. You take, I think we'll say just a shadow of stress. So you you just feel this sense of, you just kind of mentioned the idea that you are ministry to this person, or evoked something similar, or secret police. And so it's not exactly sure, they clearly aren't like about to sell you out, but there's just a little bit of more information.
Yeah, sort of my intention was like, this will be bad for you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that message is absolutely received. So you head out of there pretty certain of what you need to know. So now you have a bunch of information. All of you have learned of our friend, his name and his location. What's next? Actually,
can I just real quick, as we're leaving, Chrysanth, was it?
Yeah, Mr. M, right?
That will do, yes, for now at least. I was impressed. I think you handled yourself quite well.
Well, thank you. It's not often I'm off on some cloak and dagger mission for our great ministry.
You should not say that out loud as we are walking about. And that would be my advice to you. Perhaps giving all the information that we have to any old person is not necessarily in our best interest. It might be good to hold some cards, be close to the chest, as it were.
Of course. Apologies.
No,
I am
of
new to
course.
this. As
You are
said.
learning. A soldier, was it?
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. You guys got a lot of soldiers? Ex-soldiers?
There are some, but I do find the sword's work is not necessarily as delicate as, say, the needles.
Well, no, that's true. That's true. We don't all kind of feel the cloth of your clothing. And
Oh, please, thank you. This is very expensive.
that's my point. We don't all get a chance to experience such fineries. I look forward to learning more about it from you.
Yes, of course.
Shall we dip our fruit?
I don't like the way it sounds, but yes. And we dip our fruit.
Great. So
We get
all of
XP
you-
for
Let me
dipping fruit.
let me get on the line here.
Yeah.
Have you dipped your fruit?
Who is
Hello?
this?
This is M. We're like in like a puddle in some alley.
Yeah.
But just crouched over it, like
Yeah.
and Chrysanth.
We should really use the communication, only when necessary.
Yes. Well, I figure we could swap our information, perhaps continue to fan out, or reapply our assets in the most agreeable places.
I mean, our Karlik and I have found out all sorts of fascinating things.
A couple things.
Perhaps most relevantly, the apothecary did say that they thought this man, our Karlik, what was his name again?
Dracker.
Dracker, no first name yet. We don't have a first name, but that he was heading towards Iron Slouch when last he saw.
Oh, well, that would confirm with us. What was his name, Chrysanth?
Rosin Dracker.
Yes, and we know
first
specifically where
name.
he might be going in Iron Slouch.
That's very good. We're dealing with an arcane tattoo, I think. I think beyond just the communication devices and, this sort of magic that we've stepped into, I think the damage, the blast, if that's what it was done from the tattoo. So we should be careful about that. Maybe we can find a way to, if we were to encounter him, maybe restrict his arm.
Or cut it off? Looks to Chrysanth.
Yes. Very direct of you.
Or bite
And
it off.
only if that's necessary, I assume.
I made a promise earlier. I think it is necessary.
Perhaps we approach him as friends first. Win his trust.
I like that.
He's apparently quite sad.
Sorry, I don't know why that was so funny to me.
Who isn't?
I mean, I'm not.
Yes, it's clear.
Does it count if you make me sad?
I don't think it does, our Karlik.
I don't
Our
know.
colleague is actually smiling.
Wow.
Well, perhaps we should meet in Iron Slouch then, near the chapel of the lady. What was it? Sorry.
Midwife.
House of the
Yeah,
midwife.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
the house of the
midwife,
midwife.
Yeah. There are two obvious routes to get from here, sort of down deeper in that way. Two major ones. One of them is Cantha's Basin, which is a long marketplace whose major feature is a pipeline of glowing acid. And there's also Tetcher's Stair, which is outside the city itself and is in direct sunlight right now, but is sort of a long descent. So you could split and head down those a different way. You could very easily meet and recombine whoever's where as you do that. But yeah, those are, or you could just take one of the routes, your choice.
It might be, this is like again on the wet fruit on the way down. I think it's
Yeah.
drying out. I'm starting to lose you a little, but just thinking strategy here. Sorry, Ted gave me the dumbest walkie-talkie, so
You rolled
enjoying
2 ones.
I am enjoying
Yeah,
it.
you're lucky you get one at all.
Just
Yeah.
licking it constantly to keep it moist.
Just hoping that
Like unscrewed my astronaut head with water in it, and I'm like,
on the way down, it might be best if we approach him, maybe the more approachable of us. Perhaps, well, the Bliss and I can work together on this.
it would be my honor, Mr. M.
You know, M was fine, but actually I would prefer Mr. M. So thank you.
Here to bring joy.
Fabulous.
SMH.
Great. So you're going to be with the 2 of you leading and the 4 of you all heading down together. Is that the plan?
I
I
think
think
so.
that sounds great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we meet up. Then
Should we avoid the sunlight by going by the acid?
Oh,
I
of
prefer.
course. Yeah.
Great. So you take the Canthus Basin route, and as you're heading through the marketplace, we're going to get to a bio break in just a second. But you are heading through the marketplace, and there is a crowd blocking the main thoroughfare heading down. From there, it's just 2 minutes down to Iron Slouch. You find a dead body and people gathered around it in confusion. This body is a city guardsman whose head has exploded.
Oh my gosh.
Viscera and pieces of skull and other thing are spread all across. The uniform is still intact. There's this huge arcane hole in his where his head would be and the top of his rib cage. People are confused. There's a fight. Someone said this guard was a friend of mine. He tried to stop the man. What are y'all doing?
I'll approach one of the witnesses who is shouting. What fight? Who was involved?
There was a man wrapped up in cloth, and he headed through here. He's gone now. He's headed down the stair, down towards Iron Slouch.
Did you see what happened? Surely he didn't punch the man's head off.
They were trying to stop him. They were trying to stop the man from getting further. There was a few city guardsmen. They'd come down here. They were talking with him very kindly.
And the force? Did he have a weapon of some kind?
It came
How
out
could
of
this
the
have
man.
happened?
It came out of him. It did, but I don't know what he did. It seemed like he was. It's like he was. Elfir.
Are there any
my
authority
God.
figures on the scene?
There are a couple of city guardsmen who are still here. They're mostly at work. Yeah, but there's a big, strong-looking woman who's so it's kind of the pathway down is blocked for you now by this crowd of people. But yeah.
Well, I can draw my axe and move toward the body and say, "Stand aside. I'd like to examine the body."
Yeah. So the woman, the woman who's sort of running the show a little bit goes, "What do you want to examine the body for? His head exploded."
There may be evidence of how we can find the person who did this.
You know where to find him. He's just down there. You don't want to try and get him. He's just run off 30 seconds ago.
Ooh.
All right, I'll see where she's pointing.
Yeah, down the stair. But she's trying. She grabs your hand and says, "Don't be a fool. You don't want to go after him."
Do not
She like
touch me.
Ooh.
And I'll like raise my axe just enough so that it's more visible, like a little "Do you know who I am?" kind of gesture.
yeah, totally. She sort of holds up against you. What's your role here? Yeah, I think you gotta you try and physically
don't
overpower
really
her
have
with a
anything
fight.
applicable. I can roll one die and see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Could I? I can't think of any domain that would apply to this. So
Does compel not apply? You don't have compel? I thought
I don't have compel.
Oh, you know, I keep thinking, who do I think has compel?
No, I'm just
You have compel more, though.
I'm not quite the like rude paladin that I seem
Negotiator.
to be.
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
I'm more of the like a detective.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's a 6.
Okay, yeah, that's partial success. So, she you try to push past her, and she seems to perceive that you are a little bit that you are not in your right mind, and is trying to protect you from danger in this moment. And so she you sort of pull away from her. She tries to strike you and does strike you on the cheek and draws a little bit of blood. You feel just fine. It just hits you. But you're able to throw her to the side or whatever way you do to physically overpower her.
Yeah. I'll just push past, and I'll give a whistle and hope that the others see where I'm going.
Yeah, an opening's there. You all head through. Yeah, that's the move.
Yeah.
You head down some clattering stairs down into this narrow place. You start having to duck to get through these narrow shafts, and at the end, down at the end of a long sort of avenue of slanted steel, you see a lean, tall figure slouched against the alley wall, clutching his arm. He's dressed in confused wrappings. He's got a hand-woven shawl stained with something dark, a long, ragged coat that's been torn half to pieces, a blue dressing gown underneath that. What at first you think are boots are, in fact, thickly wrapped fabric around his legs. The glimpses you can see of his body show a muscled drow man. He wears the shawl like a hood, but you can see a wispy beard, a gaunt face, and eyes that glow with attention and a wisp of arcane energy. He says, "Stay away!" And his voice echoes with the supernatural. This is Rosin Dracker, and this is where we take a little break.
Woohoo!
Ooh.
Cool.
Yeah.
We return momentarily to
See you soon.
So cool.
Bye bye.
Hello, and welcome back to Spire. All of you are standing on the rickety stairs of the neighborhood of Iron Slouch. This whole neighborhood is built inside this old metal shaft that's been sort of jerked out of the way and sort of slanted and rebuilt, and now there's a whole neighborhood built inside of it. And so you're now at one end of a slanted alleyway, and you can see the figure of the man that you've been hunting, Rosin Dracker. Rosin Dracker is covered in rags and old clothes that he's wrapped himself in. He's leaning against a wall, clutching his arm, which you believe to be covered with arcane runes of some kind that may have been tattooed onto him. It's unclear. And who has just murdered 2 people, including a city guardsman. He is staring at you and is shouted out, "Stay away!" And his voice reverberates with a strange and sort of chaotic extra sonic boom. You hear above you and behind you up the stairs the noises of the crowd that was still dealing with the corpse that you have pushed back through in order to reach here. He looks at you. He is not yet running. He appears to be exhausted from the sprint of the last few hours in which he has been coming down here. He went to an apothecary seeking some kind of relief from pain, killed the assistant, and came down here.
Wait. Peaceful hand. We can help you.
Who are you?
It doesn't matter as much as it seems. You can trust us. We need to get somewhere safe.
There's nowhere safe. They'll find me. They'll find you. They'll find anyone.
The secret police?
I don't know. They'll the people, the sun, everyone, everything. Stay back. I might hurt you.
And this is still hand up, and I'm gonna glance over at the Bliss. You'll notice the masks have no eyes, but I'm looking in your direction. There's like maybe like, you know, the form of some like plump, but it's not like detailed in the eyes.
Yeah. Oh,
And
interesting.
look to the Bliss like, this is maybe your chance.
Yeah. So I'm going to, just for a little bit of extra measure, I'm going to apply a glamour using magic, poise, whatever I want. I can choose this NPC and change my appearance to look like their ideal partner.
That's
So I'll-
crazy.
I'll unscrew.
The astronaut head. How do you know that's not his ideal partner?
It's me.
I'll take off the astronaut head and take off the smaller mask underneath. And as I do, there's a flicker where if people are looking, they can see her real face with scars across one side. But just for a flicker before this NPC kind of transforms her into.
Yeah. It's a much more like sort of simpler look. You find yourself sort of putting yourself into like pulling your hair back into a bun. You see that like you might look like someone he might have known as a young person here in Iron Slouch. The helmet sort of off and at your side. What do you say to him?
Friend, we represent a powerful coalition. I promise you, we can take you somewhere that they, the sun or whoever, cannot find you. You trust me. Trust me.
Oh, you want to take me back? How powerful coalition you want? I won't go back. I can't. I can't. What are you gonna roll? Do you get mastery because of glamour, or does it specify it?
I guess I don't, but I think my other mastery still applies since he doesn't know my name.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
is there are you using a skill or a domain?
It's compel is the skill I would like to use.
Okay.
Would it be fair to say that something occult is going on, or is arcane sort of different than occult?
I think it's similar to. I don't know if you're you're using your skill. I've been generous with a lot of rolls here, so I'm going to give it to you. But then I'm also going to say this is a higher difficulty roll, so I'm going to take.
But it's the last time.
Yeah, now I'm not going to be nice to any of you anymore.
So I don't see an arcane domain, so I assumed occult covered that.
Yeah. So occult does. So I'm adding it in, and then because of his difficulty. So the way I activate difficulty as the GM is I can remove dice from the roll. So I'm removing one from this roll. So because Rosin is hard to convince in this moment. So you still have 3 dice though.
Rosin is hard.
My highest, my highest is a 4.
Your highest is a 4? Wow.
It was a 1, a 1, and a 4.
Oh
Not
my
good.
gosh. Oh, that's
yeah.
wild.
I thought it was
Rosin.
a 7 at first. Anyways, it's
Yeah.
a 1.
Yeah, Rosin sort of looks at you confused and he says, I'm purified. And he reaches out and a huge blast of arcane energy hits you, throwing you back through the air. You're going to need to roll to try and resist harm on this. So you're flown back through the air. We're going to see how well you land. So you could roll the D10 plus whatever else you want to roll. What that you think applies, of course.
Okay. I honestly don't think I have anything else that applies.
Great. Cool.
This is not. This is blood. This is gonna be blood stress.
This would be blood stress, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. I'm rolling 1 die.
Okay.
That's an 8.
Okay. Yeah. That's fabulous. So you, so I'll reduce the amount of stress you're going to take from that. You're just going to take 2 stress blood. So you, it looks like you were going to strike like head first against like a railing of this thing, but instead you like grab something really carefully, or maybe one of our friends also helps you land effectively, but you pull yourself and are able to, like, you just feel a little bit of ringing in your head, but like this like energy is flowing through you, and it feels reckless and uncontrolled, and then it sort of flows out through you. Our friend sort of stands in front of you all for a moment. So it looks like he's about to run, but anyone else has a moment to act.
We're in like dark, kind of not underground, but like
you're inside a metal chamber. Like there's no direct light. Like, so you're like in a slanted alleyway of metal. If you used to run, it sort of go deeper into Iron Slouch in the neighborhood there. You also hear above you some shouting and people saying, "He's still down there!" And some people are maybe coming down to try and catch him.
Is there like a steam vent or something, maybe?
Yes, of course there is. Yes.
Okay. Go ahead if you want to do something.
I was just gonna say, I can actually, that part of my mechanics of how one of my core abilities is lay of the land. I assume this is a dangerous situation.
Yes,
so I can name up to
Certainly
3
is.
features or opportunities that your allies can take advantage of. So yeah, I would say there is a steam vent there that you could use.
And you could name a couple of other features, right?
Yeah. I guess a feature I'd like, I don't know if there would be anything like piles of crates or something behind us, but something that could be used potentially to hinder anyone following behind us.
Basically, yeah, there was some construction that was happening on the stairs, and so there's a bunch of leftover shit. There's like some metal girders and other things that you could lift and easily block the route with.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was thinking that I could throw my axe into the steam vent and like send out a big spray of steam to sort of distract him, disrupt his connection to whatever it is that he's channeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead and roll it.
Okay. I don't know if this counts as an attack.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, what's the context? There's an ability that is a...
Well, I'm trying to decide if I should use fight or and if so, does my knack apply? I know his name.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else that would make sense.
Yeah. I think it's reasonable. I think let's do it.
Okay, great. So my knack is that
yeah.
I get to roll with mastery if I openly attack an enemy whose name I know.
Yeah. The other thing is that you would get mastery for using the feature that Chrysanth has pointed out. That's his ability. He points out 3 features in the landscape and you get mastery. You can cap at 1 mastery per roll. But so you would get it.
Okay, so that's a 7.
Okay.
So there's a drawback, but I throw my axe and the spray of steam strikes him.
Yeah, absolutely. So that strikes him. He sort of reaches out, slams onto the ground, and this ripple of energy comes through and strikes at you. I'm going to roll just to see if you get some blood here. Okay, yeah, you're going to take some pretty serious blood. You are... okay, you are thrown upward into the air by this huge geyser of arcane energy. You're like, your axe is gone. You've thrown it, but you're like thrown backwards and slammed down onto the stairs, sort of next to the Bliss. And he's sort of crying out and says, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry," and he runs off. You feel. I'm going to roll for you. You feel blood in your mouth, and you feel like a muscle pain that's going to be with you for a couple of weeks. You don't take any fallout from this, but you're feeling hurt. You've taken some stress, you've taken specifically 4 stress in this moment on top of the 2 blood stress you already had. So you're at 6 current blood stress. You have 2 resistance, so you're at 4. Is your current situation? This guy is now running off. Chrysanth, not that you need this cue, but Malthus growls.
Yeah, I'm gonna yell, fetch, and try to pursue him. Which should give me mastery.
Yeah, because you're pursuing. It's pursuing someone who's.
I can choose a command to give the hyena. When I say fetch, when you hunt on a target, you can see and hear. Do so with mastery.
Yes, see and
so
hear.
I presumably can still see him.
You can spot him through the smoke. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, roll with mastery.
That's a 7.
Okay, fabulous. Yeah, you race after him. The hyena like leaps through the air and is like scrabbling across this metal and steel as you're racing through these hallways of iron, heading down. You disappear from everybody's view for a moment, and he sort of calls out back at you, and a couple of more of this glowing arcane energy strikes you for 2 stress. I couldn't even possibly roll fallout on you because you have so much freaking stress. Actually, it goes to armor first, so it doesn't count as blood stress. So you like just shake it off, and you are chasing with your hyena, bounding along around him. So this is success. So Malthus leaps on top of him, grabs him, and he gets slammed down to the ground right in front of the chapel of the midwife, the house of the midwife, which is this like sort of egg-shaped, beautiful, strange structure that appears to have been grown in some sort of plant life of sorts. You are all at the stairs. You can have followed this way. You also know that there's a crowd following behind you and can take any actions you want to stop.
Yes.
Slow them down. Yeah.
A couple of things. So I'll follow up with the Bliss, who's I guess standing or maybe fallen over. I don't care, but just like a quick check-in.
Yeah. The Bliss actually looks fine. Our colic looks really like shit.
Sorry. Well, either one. I'll kind of like check with both of them, but as like checking in, you notice like, oh, the robes are changing here. I'd like to try and tell me if this is okay with you, but I'd like to be a member of the city guard.
Yeah.
For a bit here, using my one of the staff ability, which I would seamlessly blend in with an employee of the organization. So I think in this case, like narratively, there's like maybe a little bit of like Drow magic here, but it's also a like well prepared situation of like these robes that Mulro is wearing a lot can do a lot of things, and so I think there's a quick kind of costume change, and the mask comes off. Right.
Yeah. So they see his face.
Yes. Yeah. You will see Mr. M. Yeah. And
any features that I don't know, like what does he look like?
There's like wrinkles. There's crow's feet. There's a little bit of, there are deep. What are these ones?
Nasolabial folds.
Yeah. God damn. So, there's like some of that. So there's like definitely the valleys of strained individual. Probably for all the coolness on the outside, there's some of that. But generally, there's like a not unlike my own stubble, but it's kind of this grayish bearding that comes down to a point. I won't remark on his handsomeness, whether it is present or no. We'll let anybody else decide that if they wish.
We'll let God decide.
Yeah. Anyway, first we'll check on the Bliss. Are you all right?
Only fine, just a little shaken.
Be careful. And then go to Arcolic. And Arcolic, are you injured?
Shaken? No.
Yes. Can you walk?
Yes, I can walk.
Right. I'm going to try to lead.
Up. I'm limping.
Great. They're going to need you. And I'll be right behind. I'm going to send them the other way if I can.
Yeah, immediately you hear them coming down. This way. And there's like there's men and women coming down. A little bit crowd, a little bit city guard. And one of them immediately recognizes you as being a member of the city guard. Sort of confused for a moment. What patrol are you with?
It doesn't matter. He's running away. I know where he is.
Okay, I see. And they sort of get pointed that direction, and you like send them off.
Yeah, what I would like to do, if I really want to solidify this if I can, is this fine to present an institutional falsehood, which would maybe, oh no, this isn't it. Yeah, maybe the employees of a particular organization in like 5 minutes. I'm going to be gone for about 5 minutes leading them on this situation.
Perfect. Yeah.
If that's all right, to basically like, this is where he was going. We talked to him. He gave us this. He was stammering about going, and I'll like name some neighborhoods. He's a madman. He only wants blood. And so we're like running down this way, whatever it is. So I'm gonna let that be believed to try to get enough of a tale to buy us some time to deal with it upstairs.
Yeah, you're buying time and changing the narrative down the line so that if you get out of here with him, you've got a story. So they're
widely believed until it is proven false. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's great. They come through. Chrysanth, you are standing above Rosin Dracker, who is moaning on the ground. He's a little bit blurry for a second. Let's get him back into focus. But he and like still his voice sort of reverberates, and you get the sense that like there is this arcane energy about him, but there's something like wrong with it. You start to feel nauseated standing above him. You see on his arms they're not tattoos, they're just like scars that have been sort of carved into the flesh, that are like actively glowing but starting to sort of fade, and you can see it like pulling at his skin as if it's sapping energy out of him. His skin is mottled, like the little bit that you can see of him. He's ill. There's something wrong with him, and he looks up at you, confused and sort of angry. He goes, "The purifying sun." Yeah.
What have you done to yourself?
Done to myself? No. My mother. She needed me to do something. The sun looked at me with its great eye, and they came.
Your mother. What did your mother do?
And she was heartbroken. She was sad. She was ruined. Something. So I must get back to her.
Listen, my friends don't want to hurt you. Okay, tell us how we can help you. We'll get you somewhere safe.
And it's at this moment that an Elfir steps into view out of the smoke. This Elfir is stepping out of the house of the midwife. You see inside that there is a midwife, a woman, bound and gagged. And you see that this man is wearing the beautiful engraved white armor of the Ningati, the Elfir's secret police. He is masked, of course. He looks at you and says, "Citizen, this is not your concern."
How many are there?
One.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I am trying to help fellow citizens. I heard this was a dangerous man.
There are many dangerous men, but we are capable of dealing with them on our own.
Well, you guys always need some help, don't you? That's what we're around for.
No. Why would a citizen like you follow someone this far into the city? You're sweating.
Sometimes you need a little exercise, you know? Gotta grow an animal. It's gotta keep him in shape.
Yeah, Malthus is growling at this Elfir. The Elfir reaches into a beautiful, at his waist, to a beautiful sword, silver blade. Is this animal a problem?
I'm gonna try to tackle him.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, amazing. Yeah. So Moreau, you're off doing this thing, but you can probably hear and see some of this happening at a distance if you need to step in. And the Bliss, you have come this way, and you are within 30 feet of this encounter, I assume.
Yeah,
unless you've chosen otherwise.
As we're approaching, I don't know if I can get my axe back.
Yeah, totally.
So I'll pull the axe back, throw it into the belt, and I'm unloading my crossbow. And I'm loaded, I'm pulling out my crossbow, getting ready to,
Yeah, absolutely. The Bliss?
Bliss is seeing these other people with these huge, impressive weapons, and she's sort of like patting down her pockets, and she pulls out a knife. Free, concealed, but she's just there.
Yeah, she's got a knife. Yeah, great. This like tall Elfir soldier, glowing, is going to get tackled by Chrysanth, or we're going to attempt it.
Yep. All right, that's a fight.
Yeah. So you're going to die, and then are you adding anything else? I mean, I think you could do low society, sort of like low class fighting kind of moves.
I guess my question would be, is this a surprise melee attack on the target?
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So this is Sickham's ability that I have to choose to command to Malthus. So
okay,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I guess call to him to attack. Well, but no, because he's already drawn his sword about Malthus. So let's say I'm not going to do that. I'm just gonna.
Okay. Sure.
I'll just have the 3.
And you're gonna. I'm sorry. You're gonna lose 1 die because this is the Drow secret pool.
All right. In that case, it's a 7.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Yeah. So you go at this guy. You take him down. Like, describe how the takedown goes. You're successful at it. We'll have some damage for you, but
just like a yell like bursts out as soon as he sees like the sword is out and beginning to turn towards Malthus. Just sort of a guttural like spear tackle, almost like going low, trying to pick him up and just slam this Elfir into the ground and get on top of him, and just like no weapons, just start trying to wail on him with fists.
Amazing. Okay, fabulous. So I assume I think you're probably you're trying to do damage to him with the punching, yeah? Or just Okay.
It was mostly to make sure that he doesn't attack Malthus, but I don't know mechanically how.
Yeah, totally. Well, don't you have your ability where you incapacitate someone to reduce their difficulty level?
That's Cackle. That's gonna happen.
Oh, it's unrelated.
Soon.
Great, cool. Yeah, that's what we're doing here. Great. So I'll say you do D3 damage to him, D3 stress to him. So go ahead and roll that. So D6 divided by 2.
All right. That's a 1.
Okay, great. So yeah, you're just punching this dude in armor. He slices at you. You feel as this blade slices into your shoulder and part of your pec. I rolled a D8. And you took 2 stress, so that's a lucky roll for you. So that's that does go past your armor. You take 2 actual blood stress, which still does not matter to Chrysanth because he's such a tank. So you're down here beating up on him. He is still like trying to fight back on you. There's a window for Arcolic or the Bliss. Are either of you going to act?
I have an idea.
Rosin is sort of crawling up, trying to get up.
I'm limping, but I'm basically dashing as fast as I can amidst all of the steam that's blowing and the whatever detritus is in this tunnel. And I'm gonna try and grab the. Is he unconscious? Our friend Rosin.
Rosin he's getting up. He's standing up. He's like confused and exhausted, but still awake.
Okay, I want to grab him by the back of the neck.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll need to roll, but I'd like to pull him out of sight.
Okay.
And I think we need to. I'll bring him over to where the Bliss is, because sure. I think we have more social work to do, so to speak, before I can pull my cool trick. But I have a plan. So I'll just bring him over to you, Bliss. Kind of like throw him, into an upright position against, a piece of
it's like a metal house nearby. Yeah, it's this little structure. So he's what is they're coming
We'd
for
like
me.
to do this
They're
the easy way.
Do what?
I turn to the Bliss. Our objective, correct, is to bring him in, right? We want him alive.
Yeah, that's the goal.
The Bliss will I think the Bliss will look at our colic, assume she understands what he means, and then take the knife and try and knock him out. Not like slash, but like just pummel him into unconsciousness.
Yeah. I love that in her mind, our colic couldn't do that.
Like the easy way.
Good.
Yeah. The Bliss strikes Rosendracker, who takes the hit and falls unconscious. Sort of leans forward. Carson, were you talking? Are you muted or were you just mouthing?
I was muted. I was saying, "I want them alive," like Darth Vader. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm just enjoying the moment.
Once he's unconscious, I would like to use my ability, Corpse Finder General, and I would like to find a body.
Okay.
So this is once per session, I can declare that there's a corpse hidden somewhere in my immediate surroundings, and I ask the GM, "Whose corpse is it?"
It's the midwife's corpse. The Ningadi murdered her.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, sorry. Take that.
Okay.
That's your corpse.
All right, so I'll bring the corpse out, and I want to start trading their clothes.
So I think quickly. So you've done this moment. You dragged him over. We knocked him out. I think before that happens, we need another moment with the Ningadi and our friend here. So I think the Ningadi is going to try and get up and strike at you. Go ahead and roll resistance to see how much he is trying to both get you off of him and then attack you. So you can roll. Yeah. What do you think is appropriate to get away?
And so, rolling resistance. Am I rolling my I would probably roll.
Yeah, you fight. Roll D10. Similarly, you're just rolling fight exactly.
Yeah, I would probably roll fight to try to.
Yeah, great, perfect. You're still reduced. It's reduced in 1 again because he's still difficult. So you just get 1 die. Yeah.
1 die. Oh yes. 9.
Okay, fabulous. Yeah, he's coming at you, and you guys see as Chrysanth, the soldier, comes out. So I'm curious, this Ningadi is fast. His weapon is lightweight. He is just going in at you. What is Chrysanth's, how does he keep out of this danger?
He kind of goes feral, just falling back onto all fours, scrabbling. You just see him start panting with the exertion of it and just
awesome.
Moving out of the way.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And you, Window, do you want to make an attack back on him? See if you can do some damage? Or are you going to try and fight him? What's your move?
Well, first thing I'm going to do is he's going to start just laughing. And you're going to hear Malthus coming in. You're just going to hear
oh my gosh, amazing.
1 stress to my mind. I think that's Mark 3D stress to mind or body to unleash. That's my mind or body, I presume.
Yeah.
So I'll take 1 mind stress.
Great.
For that.
Okay.
And it's going to lower this guy's difficulty rating by 1.
Yeah. This you watch as Chrysanth becomes the avatar of death and hunger. This sort of him and Malthus start to look a little bit alike. And there's this both of them sort of approaching, and Malthus like padding, seeming bigger hair sort of on end as both of them start approaching the Ningati. You are Colic, as you're heading towards the temple, because this fight is kind of happening in between. You have a window to move in on this fight.
Okay.
If you wanted to.
Yeah. I've got my crossbow loaded.
Yeah.
Shall I shoot?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. I mean, they're in kind of a melee.
Yeah.
So I'll wait just for a moment. I'm a very patient man, and once that window opens up, release.
Yeah, great. It's kind of like the cackling has happened, and just as it's calmed down, the Ningati is clearly, perturbed.
Yeah.
So he's no longer has difficulty at all your dice.
Say that again.
He no longer has difficulty, so you get all your dice. So you don't reduce the dice.
So I'm just using fight and then my base die.
Okay.
Because I don't know his name.
And
I rolled a 5.
Okay, yeah, that's a failure. So this bolt goes off, and he sees you. I'm gonna roll again. Oh gosh. So he sees you, pulls out from his back like a small throwing knife, and it strikes you in the chest, and you take 3 more blood stress. Our Colic is in a bit. Yeah, Carlic's in a bad way. I'm gonna roll. And you take a fallout. So let's see. This is our first fallout. First fallout of the game. So you've got, this is going to be, because of the level of stress you had when it happens, there's minor fallout, moderate fallout, and severe fallout. This is going to be moderate fallout. So it's going to be a blood fallout. There are 3 types of fallout that we have here.
Join the fight, he says.
I think, yeah, see, you can get in the fight. You jerk. That is me. I think given that you were leaning into this limp idea, I think the knife hits you in the leg and you feel a horrible crack. I think, well, this is broken leg is the thing here. Sure. I think,
it could be like stabbed in the thigh.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. So I don't think the actual, I don't think it broke your femur. I think this is like a severe muscle injury. So yeah, your leg, you can't walk without crutches for some time, and you'll automatically fail any pursue attempts. It says, yeah. So you can restore this. There's certain many ways you can do it. But
Grant Howitt, who hurt you?
Yeah, it's pretty evil. So yeah, we're gonna have to work with this. Any action where you'd need to be quick on your feet is either impossible or suffers from an increased difficulty. Oh my gosh, this is evil. Yeah, so our Colic collapses onto this leg and cries out, Moreau. But by this moment, you are back in the scene. You've finished with this encounter back here and are witnessing this battle happening. The Ningati is looking at you. The Bliss, you have Razin Dracker. What's everybody doing?
I've only got one thing I can do. Okay. I want this knife to go off, and then I want to shoot him in the head.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I'm not good at this, but thank goodness he doesn't have difficulty. So.
Yeah. No difficulty. Yeah. It's always
okay. That's a 9. So how I imagine this, I mean, I don't know what happens, is that it's like this knife throws off, and as it throws off, there's a shot that rings out from like one of this like ascending, like this adjoining tunnels or whatever that's going on.
There's like a weird like metal walkway up above. Boom! From this like disguised city watchman, or like Moreau back in Moreau mode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna roll my own stress here and say that this bullet goes clean through the eye of this Elfir and his mask falls off.
Oh, good.
And you see this mask like steaming and dripping with blood fall down, and you see the surprised, confused face of this person who is missing like a third of his face as he collapses completely dead onto the ground of Iron Slouch. You are Colic, who've just fallen. Look at this guy, eye to eye, as he's dead.
Eye to hole, actually. I think it's a...
Eye to hole. Yeah, exactly. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Are we in the clear?
You're in the clear. There's nobody else around. The city guard got there. Woof. Holy shit. That was our first fight in Spire, everybody. How are we doing? What does everybody do?
I want to finish trading the clothes between our unconscious friend Rosin and the corpse.
Yeah.
And him now dressed up, I guess,
hobble over to the corpse.
As the midwife. Someone, I'll like roll his corpse over and say, "Someone take him. I'm gonna need it a minute."
I'll get up underneath our colic.
Yeah. Yep. And we start
Come on.
getting the clothes off of the midwife onto Rosin. Is the goal to make this appear that this body is Rosin's body?
Even if it's just like, for a momentary distraction, throw off the pursuit.
Which arm has the vine tattoo?
Left arm.
All right, I'm gonna hack the arm off of the midwife, the left arm. Just identifying features.
Yeah.
Just
God.
hand the whole arm over to Malthus.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
And
don't eat it. Don't try to swallow it all at once. Choke.
how about so good? How about our other friend here? Kicks at the
murdered body
police.
of a secret police member is lying in this open area.
Bliss will grab that mask first off, just as a totem, and kind of stash it in a pocket. If anyone observes her doing so, she just winks at them.
Cool.
Well, one of us needs to take care of this. There are ways, I'm sure.
Malthus, like an hour or two, get rid of a lot of it.
I don't think we have that time. Here, our colic, he's gonna lean you up on the wall, and I think
Wesley and the Princess Bride.
yeah, exactly. And Moro's gonna grab this other body, and I don't know. I want to throw it deeper into the spire.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I think in Iron Slouch, that's not a thing you need to roll for. I think as in Spire generally, there are places you can throw things.
This one seems deep enough. Floop.
Can I just hack off a pinky?
Oh my gosh.
Little treat.
You can get a whole hand if you
Fantastic.
want them.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so gross. Yeah, and then I just want to dump this body as far as it can go.
Yeah, there's a huge pit that heads down like almost all the way to the works, and if you're lucky, might land in some industrial park where it could potentially get in something hot and melt.
Great.
Obviously, that's not a guarantee, but you drop it and it's going to fall a long way.
Fantastic. And then I'll come back to our colic and go, I bought us some time, sent them in the completely wrong direction, but I'm sure in a few days they'll end up back here. We should go.
Yes, we should. I'm gonna be slow, but I'll go as fast as I can.
I'll pick up Rosin. Just like fireman carry.
Yeah, great. And you all make it out. You're able to find another way out of Iron Slouch. You don't end up encountering a crowd. It's sort of dispersed. There's too much confusion, and you're done. You've succeeded at your purpose. So the question is, where does Rosin end up? Is there a place where you want to stash him or keep him temporarily? What's the move? You could ask Syphia. She could have a place where you could take him, or you might have your own resources that are preferable.
I mean, I assume that we want to deliver him, in as complete a state as we can. We don't know yet about what information we need from him, right?
You could search his body and probably get some pretty good information.
May I do that?
Yeah. So I think I'm curious if there's a spot where we go to observe him, as opposed to just laying him on the ground.
So I haven't talked this through with you, Ted, but I've been envisioning as part of Chrysanth's charnel priest duties that sometimes, people die in their homes and maybe they live alone, and maybe Malthus sniffs them out. And I think that Chrysanth sometimes just stays in the houses, like apartments of people who've died.
Jeez.
I love
And
that.
so there's one that like is the most recent one that he's been staying at. There's no link to Chrysanth necessarily, like it's not in his name or anything, but it's something he's found a way into. But he did break in to get the body out, so like it's a little conspicuous, but not not linked to them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a house in a neighborhood called the Rust Ring. It has a little balcony that like can go out, like at night you can look at it at the view. It's got a little arched ceiling, sort of like as if the top was like made out of a boat. And it's big enough. There's a big kitchen table, enough for you to lay out Rosin's unconscious body. And so you all get there. Arcolic taking his time, but you're able to reach it. And it's like 1 PM. People are at market. People are doing things. There's noise outside. In terms of information you get from Rosin's body, as you saw before, he's not well. His skin is mottled all over. It's patchy with darker and lighter gray. His veins bulge, and closer to his heart, they seem luminous at moments, like tides of light are passing through them. Energy just crackles through him. You see 6 tattoos on him. 5 of them are clearly by your friend who you met in the vertiginous vineyards, and the 6th is made out of a totally different ink that appears to sort of swim and change colors. It's right on the back of his neck, just underneath the collar of his shirt. It's a symbol that what could be a sea monster with spreading symmetrical tentacles, or a spined wheel, or more likely a brilliant, violent sun. You see on top of, so there's the sun tattoo. You see a number of other tattoos. There are 3 religious tattoos related to the Glorious Lady. Some of them are sort of from different sects of the religion of the Glorious Lady. There's also a tattoo of a clutch of eggs captured within a triangle that evokes sort of love of a mother and connection to the midwives, since Drow all grow from eggs. And so you wonder if this woman who is serving as a distraction might be someone who mattered to our friends. The other thing you find is a piece of it's like cardstock paper. It's whitish with blue ink, and it's not immediately legible or comprehensible, but it appears to be some sort of like record keeping. There's some notes. You see RD written on it, and it might be Rosin Dracker. And there's some identifying elements giving a sense of there's like writing down a couple of names and a couple of like illnesses or diseases that are listed. It's not exactly clear what the card is about, but if you asked around, you could potentially figure out what's the origin of this piece of documentation and what it means. So that's the starting information you get out of Rosin.
Cool.
I think we're going to go maybe just a little bit longer with a couple of moments here for our characters. I think we're kind of in downtime. You can discuss Rosin. You could also piece out to have your own moments. What are we feeling? What's happening?
In this day following our fight, I am going to make a false report to my I'll discuss it with my partner Tandil, and then make a report to whoever it is that we, our superiors, that I was attacked by Drow while I was performing duties, and I'll list a different district than the one we were in.
Sure.
Maybe the one that I misled the commissariat about.
Yeah.
And and just like chalk it up to basically like an alley knifing, something that sounds very, like the Elfir would buy a story because of their own bias and
prejudices.
Bigotry.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Drow on Drow crime. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, exactly. So you send that off. Tandil looks at you and is like immediately quite concerned. So are you all right, Arcolic? so sorry to see this happen to you. What's happening?
I'll survive. It's gonna be a little bit of rough going. I may be looking at some medical leave.
I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do for you for
No, nothing for me. You take care of yourself. I'll make sure this doesn't put a burden on you.
Oh, no, of course I don't mind at all. I'll take care, my friend.
Thank you. And you.
Yeah. Who else? Any moments in this house with Rosin or other things?
I think with the Bliss sort of in post of this at some point. Mora will, I don't know, perhaps they're just like waiting in the next room or whatever while it's being searched. You know, not everyone's crowding this body at once. I don't know.
Yeah. Totally.
Whatever, somewhere around there. We've met before.
At one of my art shows, perhaps? Are you a fan?
One of your art shows, I think, in a sense.
What do you mean?
I served one of the elf here, and some years ago we played host to the great Elfir artist.
Oh, Altruin.
Yes.
I served endurance under Altruin. I was likely there.
You were. I should say I may have a better memory of the moment, considering you were emptying your stomach contents into my lady's fountain.
Sounds like a fun night.
It didn't seem like one.
Don't remember you, so.
Is he
Perhaps we
why
can
you're doing this?
Altruin.
Yes.
No. Of course not. Altruin was generous. A better durance than many people get. I imagine a better durance than you got.
I don't know.
Well, I do know. So, that's that.
If you say so. His sculpture was beautiful, though. And he turns and walks away. He sort of looks back knowingly.
She'll give it a beat, and then she might, I think, sort of pat through her pockets, find maybe some dagger, which is a stimulant. She's been up kind of all night, or she's probably mixing different kinds of drugs, and she'll indulge just briefly before following more low.
You got it. Mr. M will be fine.
Mr. M. Sorry. Oh, I don't know yet. Yeah, Mr. M. Back.
Yeah. You're following me?
Well, are you headed back into the room with?
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay. So she goes back, because this is not a dead body. This guy's gonna wake up, right? Head?
Yeah.
Hasn't
Yeah.
died?
Well,
Okay.
when you walk back in, Chrysanth, are you there with Rosin? I'm going to assume our colic is also here. I don't want to assume that you've left because you've got this downtime soon. I think you're here as well. But were you in the room with it, Jamie? You're muted currently.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'd say I'm in the room. I'd say, having broken into this house to eat the dead body, probably offered our call like a drink of some sort after he returns,
Yeah.
just to be like, thanks for taking a life from me.
Well, that's no problem. It's not the first time my blood's been shed. And to be honest, it probably looked worse than it is. And I'll give you like a maybe surprisingly broad, kind of ironic smile and say, this isn't how I die.
Oh God.
Well, glad to hear it.
Thanks for not cutting things short and feeding me to the hyena.
Only if you ask me to.
Malthus is very much enjoying the arm in the middle of the floor. Very
You're a
terrible.
good boy, yeah.
Is he?
Well, are we having fun yet? Perhaps we should restrain him before he wakes up.
A great idea. And Mulro checks the timepiece in his robes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'll have to leave that to you. I have a rather pressing appointment with my lady. And he
And
dons his high mask and leaves.
Yeah. Yeah, as you're about to step out, Rosin lets out a gasp on the table. And you see the energy inside the arcane energy in the arms flares and fills the room with light for a moment and then dims. And he sort of opens his eyes. And as the light fades, and he grabs the arm of whoever's nearest, who's closest. The Bliss?
Me.
Arcana.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I just think whoever was restraining him. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
Arcalic, it makes sense.
Yeah. So he grabs your arm and he says, They had me. I chose to go with them, but they took me. It's the sun.
Who are they?
The sun. I believed, but and like the light is fading, and as the light, the arm's fading, you feel him fading.
What are their names?
He says, the Sikh brother Lan Yum, the purifying sun. He is not what he seems. And he is, gasping. And as he does so, Arcalic, you're looking, and there's this moment of terror. People are moving around, but you suddenly sort of zoom back, and the laughing man is standing above the bed. And he's just chuckling to himself. This darkest drow you've ever seen. Just this man who's constantly sort of smiling broadly, huge white teeth, and his hand is on Rosin's throat.
Don't take him yet. Don't take him yet.
And the energy flares out of him, and Rosin is dead.
We hear you saying, "Don't take him yet."
Sure.
Can you get a handle on your little pet thing, please? Says Carson to Graham. Sorry, but not in character.
Not my pet.
Rosin's out, and I think, that's like that feels like a closing moment of it.
I think the final beat is Mulro looking and going, shit.
Yeah, it's great. And then boom, cut to black.
Yeah.
And then we have the 2007 big snare drum, as the closing music is going. That's the end of our episode of Spire.
Thank you, Ted.
Yeah,
Ted, that was
thank
great.
you all. Yeah, very different
Thank you.
from our first. Loving these characters. So sorry about your leg. Gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we'll be saying that for a few weeks, I imagine.
I know. I'm like, gosh, this is so much time.
Big time
But,
jump? before next session.
Yeah, but well, we're gonna have sort of downtime scenes. We'll see how long it takes, and that's the question of what your next moves are. So, yeah, excited to see all that. Thank you all for being here. We had really consistent. I mean, we had. It seems like those who were watching stayed through so much of it. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for all your commentary. Really delightful. Yeah, and excited to learn more about the purifying sun in our next session. Any other announcements or things we have from Ghostlight that we should know about, or
just that tomorrow is our Marvel stream, so we'll be streaming Future Reign, a Marvel heroic role-playing game in the Cortex system. We've got number of superheroes kind of on a team in a dystopian future where the villains won. So that's been going on. This is going to be our 9th episode, I think.
Yeah,
this week.
Wow.
So pretty exciting. We're getting towards the end.
Yeah, very exciting. Yeah,
so that's at 8 p.m. Central tomorrow on this channel.
Wonderful. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you all so much. Such a fun time. And we will see you next week.
So long.
What you want?